Coach, Alabama's become kind of a house of horrors for Tennessee. I think dating back to 2016, you've won once. Going back, what, eight years now? I want to go to the fourth quarter when you cut it to 6 before we move, obviously move on to Tasha Tough. And the next 4 possessions, just empty possessions.
Yeah.
I know I could hear you in the postgame frustrated about it. I mean, I wanted to ask what do you do, but how much can you do at this point? It's execution, you watch film, but at what point do you just have to just let it go?
Yeah, those, we did an unbelievable job to get ourselves back in the game in that fourth quarter very quickly. And then just made some mental mistakes on the offensive end. Obviously, the group that was in there probably was a little gassed, and in that moment, you got to be tighter mentally, and that's where you capitalize on a couple of those, and that game might have gone a different way. So, you've got to be strong. In those moments, it was just, to me, a little bit of mental mistakes and the fatigue with the kids that got out there. And usually, fatigue, the first thing to go is the mental piece.
You went away from Tamari about the 4-minute mark in that fourth quarter. Were you looking for something specific from your post group down the stretch?
She was tired. She couldn't get to rebounds, so we were just trying to get some different looks and give her a blow there. We didn't get her enough touches during the game, so we've gone back and looked at that, try to figure out how we can help our team do a better job, get the ball inside, and it's 50-50. She's got to get a little bit better positioning for us.
Was there anything in particular on film besides that maybe led to some offensive inefficiencies that you saw?
I did not think we moved well. I did not think we got the ball from side to side. I think a lot of that was we didn't score enough in transition. We've done a really good job recently scoring in transition, and we didn't get that. So then we weren't playing in open space. We weren't playing as freely as we like to. So what we have to do in those moments when we are forced to play in a half-court set, we've got to do a better job with our execution. So cutting harder, screening a little better, and moving the ball.
That effort to close the gap in the fourth quarter, what did you like the most about it and the effort that they put in? Well,
I thought they had a sense of urgency. I thought we were much more aggressive on the offensive end. We actually scored in transition a couple times in that stretch. I thought we were locked in and just played really connected.
With this shot selection, did you feel at some points, especially on the perimeter, that those were rushed and maybe had better looks inside? How would you evaluate that? Yeah, there were a few that, because we weren't shooting well from the perimeter, there were a few that we probably should have looked to attack instead of shooting. That's where we didn't get enough paint opportunities, and that's to me, it's a little bit of settling. You're settling for an outside shot rather than working to get something more aggressively in the paint. We had moments of that. Our players were trying to adjust, but we just didn't have enough of it. What do you need to see from the team so that they can adjust in those moments, or maybe play a bit smarter in those scenarios? Yeah, I think there
were too many mental mistakes in this game. Some lapses defensively, just some maybe misunderstanding of what we need in that moment offensively, probably a little bit more so than we've seen. So we just got to go back and reassure them that they know what they're doing. They make good decisions. We just have to go out and do it. And I think, going back and just reminding them the balance that we have and can have offensively is going to be important.
On the defensive end, was there anything systemically that led to them making 9 of 9, 10 of 11? Or
it was 11 of 13,
11 of 13.
in the third.
Oh.
I tell you what, that I don't know if you're talking about the third quarter, but I'm going to talk about the third quarter. Specifically, they went 11 for 13 in that quarter, and part of it we had a couple mental breakdowns where we just had some misses on where our assignments were. Couple were transition. They got out off a miss, got out and ran, off a turnover, got out and ran. And then Alabama made some tough shots too. They made some 16-foot jumpers with the hand in their face. That's typically your lowest percentage shot on the court, and they made them in that quarter. So a little bit of both. You know, I think if we could have maybe scored a couple more, we could have got our defense set a few more times, and it might have made a big difference.
How can you make sure that that connection that they've found in the fourth quarter lasts an entire game?
Well, I think it's just the mental focus. They can do it. They've done it. They can do it. And, you know, just it's going out and believing in your teammate, believing in yourself, and having that urgency every single possession. And they want to do it. So they're going to come out, all the technical things that we need to try to correct from that game, they're going to really pour into that to try to get those things corrected.
It feels like Arkansas, they score a lot, shoot a lot of threes. Just kind of a two-part question. The challenges of Arkansas Monday night, and obviously this is the K-Yao game, which raises awareness for all types of cancers. But this one's going to be particularly poignant because it's the Tasha Tough game, and Tasha just passed away last October at the age of 41. If you could just sort of talk about the challenges of Arkansas and then the impact and meaning of that game Monday. Okay.
You know, Arkansas has been pretty consistent the last few years, and they walk in the gym ready to shoot the three. They push the ball in transition. They are going to get layups. They're going to get kick-out threes. They're going to the free throw line. That's a three-headed monster. That's what they want. They're extremely quick on the perimeter, do an unbelievable job off the dribble getting to the paint, and if you help, they kick. So you've got to be really good one-on-one defensively. They do a nice job with their ball screens to get you off of them, to open up some space. Can't typically sit in the paint because they do have shooters. So, and their pace is hot. So they're looking for this as early as they're looking for this in transition, not just in their half-court set. So it'll be a huge challenge. The game in particular, the meaning of the game, you know, everybody will be decked out in our pink, and, you know, just to try to raise awareness and hopefully just be reminded of how this all got started several years ago with K-Yao and her foresight to try to unite the women's basketball community for a cause, for a singular cause, and it was the Play for K. Obviously for us, you know, we've taken a couple big hits this year, and with losing some of our players, former players, and we want to take this game in particular, and we want to take the time to recognize and honor Tasha Butts and her legacy, and try to honor her and who she was, not just as a Lady Vol, but as a person, as an athlete. And, you know, she had a great impact in our sport, and was able to coach several teams, demonstrate toughness as she battled cancer. And, you know, I think it's really important. I think it's really important that we do that and celebrate her life. And, you know, hopefully it's encouraging for all those others going through it. You know, that we're still fighting and looking for research and looking for a cure.
Quick follow-up, because I don't want to leave out Nikki McCrae. Is the plan to honor her Thursday when South Carolina comes, because obviously she coached there?
Yeah, so, you know, we're in a very unique situation that we've got two amazing players that we lost, and so to, you know, a lot of different ways you can slice it, but what we've decided to do is not exclude, but focus on Tasha more in our Monday game, and then Thursday we're going to turn it into an alumni type game and be able to honor Nikki McCrae Pinson, and you know, be able to celebrate her, and then allow South Carolina to do that as well, because she obviously had a huge impact on that program.
You guys obviously wear their initials on a lot of your gear. How much are they at the center of what you guys have done this season and this week specifically? Well,
I think, you know, it's we've tried to do several things to be able to honor them and remember them, and you know, we want to include their families as much as possible. I think that's important. You know, you're just reminded, and we talk about this all the time as a program, you're just reminded so many times how short life is, and how you have to make the most of it each and every day. And in the grand scheme of things, we're so blessed to be able to do what we do. Literally, to come out here and play a basketball game in front of a great crowd and really enjoy those moments. But it's a snap of a finger, and you're moving on to something else. I just think we're reminded too often, but it's perspective, and I think it's an opportunity for us to have perspective on things bigger than basketball.
When you have a shooter like Jewel Spear who can knock down three-pointers and she's having a bad night, what is your in-game message to her? Do you want her to keep shooting the three, or would you rather drive and look for something else?
Yeah, I think both. I think she has to take good threes, but also I think she has to find other ways to impact the game. I think she has to look to put the ball on the floor. She did put the ball on the floor some. I still think she has to be super aggressive in those situations. People are still going to come out and guard her. They're not going to say, hey, she's missed a couple, we're going to leave her open. And I think Jewel has that confidence to keep firing.
You talk a lot about mental toughness. Is there anyone on the team that the other Lady Vols can really look up to that's really embraced being mentally tough day in and day out?
I think Jewel has done a really good job of bouncing back and handling adversity with a very positive voice for her teammates, and presents a confidence that I think they need to see.
Whenever you have a night like against Alabama where Jewel is having a rough night and Rakia isn't putting up 20, what do you want the offense to look like on those nights?
Well, I think that you've really got to you've got to be aggressive. I think you've got to share the ball. We've got to do a better job executing, screening, and sometimes you have to find the easier look. I mentioned it earlier. In those moments, you can't settle. You've got to be able to find some rhythm somewhere else. And for us, we were trying to find it on the drive. We were trying to put the ball on the floor and attack the paint.
With teams, having these initiatives, whether it's, Play for K, Tasha Tough, We Back Pat, is it all just a reminder of the community that surrounds women's basketball, that no one's really alone in any cause that they're trying to support? Yeah,
I think in the last 10 years or so, you've seen a lot of people using our sport and using sports in general for platforms, and I think we've got some amazing causes, whether it's we're celebrating Pat Summitt and her foundation, or we're honoring our former players in our Play for K game. There's a lot of really great causes out there. We can't support every one of them. We can't, we can't have everything at each game, but I think the ones that we promote, the ones that we bring to light in our community, I think it's positive, and I do think it reminds everybody that life's just bigger than basketball.
Quick question about Rakia. Obviously, she hit 2,000 here. Then she didn't score in the second half, and she looked a little frustrated. If you're a scorer, you want to see some points on the board. I was wondering, I hope that doesn't bleed over to the next game, but she seemed out of sorts in that game. How do you just sort of get her reoriented? Because she could score. Oh,
absolutely. She had a good game. Didn't get as many clean looks in the second half in that particular game that you're referring to. I think Rakia just has to remember she can impact the game in every area, every single category. She can impact the game, and obviously her strength is scoring. We know that. The opponents know that. She knows that, and she's going to have a lot of opportunities to do that. But anytime a player is frustrated, whether it's her or someone else, and it's frustration with scoring, you just have to remember there are so many ways that you can impact the game in a positive way, and it takes the pressure off of the scoring.
Quick follow-up. I can't remember a time where you really were struggling with everybody on the floor to score, to get what you needed. Do you think, okay, we flushed that for the rest of the season, that's done? That will not happen again, where our primary scorers are both struggling?
Well, as a coach, you don't assume that's going to happen. I mean, you hope it is that we're done, but as a coach, we're going to try to make sure if we're in that situation again that our players feel more comfortable and where we can go and what's next. And it goes back to just a little bit sharper execution, just a little bit harder cut, a little bit better screen. Making sure we know there are other areas we can go to. I think sometimes when you're not scoring, you tighten up and you narrow your focus. And for us, in those moments, we need to broaden our scope. We need to look at everyone, and I think we can do that.